Are you protected? When you go down the sunscreen aisle at Walmart, there are tons of bottles to choose from. There are name brands and generics, sprays and lotions, and all different types of SPF levels. But what really works the best? On the internet, I found 2 experiments that tested the SPF and sunscreen lotion. Here are the differences between theirs and mine. My essential question is, which SPF gives the best protection from the sun's ultraviolet rays? My hypothesis for my experiment is the higher the SPF in the sunscreen lotion, the more protection from ultraviolet rays from the sun. Listed here are my independent variables, dependent variable, and controlled variables. In my experiment, I used ultraviolet detecting beads. In this picture you can see that they're completely white when they're out of the UV light, and then they change color once they're in the sunlight. And I also used 3 different Coppertone Ultra Guard sunscreen lotions with different SPFs.
In each petri dish I have put 20 ultraviolet light detecting beads. I have now covered the lid of each petri dish with a sample of the first sample, which is the SPF 15, 3 petri dishes with the sample 2, which is SPF 50, and the third sample, which is the SPF 70+. And then we have 3 petri dishes that are the controlled, and they do not contain any suntan lotion. We are now going to take them outside and set them in direct sunlight for 10 minutes. We have been outside for approximately 30 seconds, and you can see that in our controlled group that the beads are already changing color.
This is a copy of my data sheet. Here I recorded the number of white beads that were left in each test group and sample, and the color intensity. 1 being the highest, very bright color, and 4 being the lowest. The findings from my investigation were that it does make a difference to wear sunscreen lotion even if it is a low SPF level, and SPF 70+ was the best protection. So the higher the SPF level, the better protection from ultraviolet rays.
This is my reflection to my science experiment. First off, the science concepts. Sunscreen lotion has never been a big priority in my life. I would buy the cheapest spray-on brand and use it at the beach or when my family would go swimming, but I never thought about using it at any other time. In doing my experiment, I was amazed to see how quickly going out in the sun affected the ultraviolet detecting beads. It will make me think more in the future about what type of sunscreen I buy and how it needs to be used more than just going to the beach. I think this experiment gave me a better understanding of ultraviolet rays. The second part, how to carry out scientific inquiry. I would say that scientific inquiry takes a lot of time to plan, and sometimes adjustments need to be made. In my experiment, I had to make a few changes from what I had originally planned. For instance, collecting data while out in the sun instead of inside, or adjusting my sunscreen from 1 tablespoon to 1 teaspoon. I know before I conduct an experiment with my students, it will need to be well planned and well thought out. After conducting this experiment, it does make me have more questions about UV rays and about sunscreen. I think this is great if students also develop further inquiries after conducting investigations. The last part, the nature of science. I think after conducting this experiment, I have more of an understanding about UV rays. Before, I do not think I would have thought twice about sunscreen, but now that I have done an actual hands-on experiment and seen the results, it has made me see it differently.